the surface area of a prism? Think about this question during the lesson. Carlos wants to cover a shoebox with decorative paper without overlapping the paper. How much paper will he need to cover the box? You can draw a net to help you find the surface area of a solid figure. What type of figure is the shoebox?
Select your answer.
The shoebox is a rectangular prism. How many faces does the shoebox have, and what shape are they? The shoebox has 6 faces. The faces are rectangles. How would a net help you find the surface area, SA, of the rectangular prism? Here is one way to solve the problem. Draw a net of the shoebox. Find the area of each face. Then add the areas. Carlos needs 376 square inches of paper to cover the box. Which, if any, of the area calculations are repeated? Explain. There are 3 pairs of repeated calculations because the front and back of the shoebox have the same dimensions, as do the top and bottom and both sides. Here is another way. Apply a formula to find the total surface area, SA, of the shoebox. The area of each face in the net is calculated in the formula. Carlos needs 376 square inches of paper to cover the box. Now you know how you can find the surface area of a prism.
Use the net and apply the formula to find the surface area of the prism. Surface area equals 2 times the quantity L times W plus 2 times the quantity W times H plus 2 times the quantity L times H.
As you can see, we have our 3-dimensional prism, cube. Well, it's not really a cube, it's a rectangular prism. And then we have it broken down in the net. And they've already done for us, taken the measurements and put them in for each part of the net, which is great. Makes it easier for us. So now we're just looking at the formula for surface area, and we're just applying the measurements. So for the first set of rectangles that are the same shape is going to be, let's use the top and the bottom here. So that's 2 times 3. So now we have is equal to 2 times 2 times 3 plus. Now I'll use different colors just so we're all on the same page. The next one I'm going to use is going to be this part of the box, or the prism, the 4 times 3. So we have 2 times 4 times 3. Then we have the last pair, and that it will be these two. So 2 times 4 times 2. Now we actually have to multiply them all. So parentheses first. 2 times 3 for the first is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. 4 times 3 is 12 times 2 is 24. 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. Then we add them all up. And so 12 and 24 is 36. And 36 plus 16 is 42. So the surface area of that rectangular prism is 42 centimeters squared. I made a mistake with my adding. It is not 42, it is 52 centimeters squared. Once again, the surface area is 52 centimeters squared.
Sam built a storage cube out of plywood. How many square meters of plywood did Sam use for the cube?
Draw a net of the cube, and that is what this is here. The formula for the area of a square is area is equal to S squared. The S stands for the sides, all the sides, and because in a square all the sides are the same, the length and width would be the same number, so that's why it's S squared instead of length times width, even though you could absolutely use length times width. It is S squared, and though we have to find the surface area, it says there are 6 equal squares in this net. So the formula for the surface area of a cube is surface area, or SA, is equal to 6 sides squared, because there's 6 squares, all the same size, squared. Apply the formula to find the surface area. So all the sides are 0 and 5/10, and so you put that in the place of the S, and then you do exponents first. 5/10 to the second power, or squared, is 0 and 25 hundredths. Then you do 6 times the 0 25 hundredths, and that is equal to 1 and 5/10. So the surface area of the cube, plywood cube, is 1 and 5/10 meters squared.
Find the surface area of the rectangular prism when given its net.
Okay, so here's the rectangular prism, and it's called a rectangular prism because the base here at the bottom is a shape of a rectangle. The faces on the sides are triangles, and then this top and the other side of the triangle are rectangles. So as you can see, we have this prism drawn out as a net, and all of the measurements written on it. So click on this face here. It says that this area of these two are the front and back, and it is 2 times length times height, which is equal to 2 times 3 times 1 and 5/10. And then we have is equal to 9, and then we have the area of these two bases, that's the top and the two sides, and we have 2 times length times width is equal to 2 times 3 times 4 is equal to 24. And then we have these other two pairs, other set of rectangles, and 2 times the width times the height is equal to 2 times 4 times 1 and 5/10 is equal to 12. Now here it all is written out exactly what I said. Once you have all of those areas, you just add them up together and you get the surface area of that prism as 45 meters squared.
Find the surface area of each prism.
So according to the example that we were given for a cube, that's what B looks like, right? We have the same measurement for all the sides, so that indicates it being a square as the faces, so that means that it should be a cube. So it did tell us that the formula for the surface area of a cube is 6 times S squared, right? So now we take the 4 and 2/10 centimeters and substitute it for the S, and we keep the 6. So now we have 6 times 4 and 2/10 squared, and then we have to do the 4 and 2/10 squared first. And so that is equal to hold on. Okay, so that is equal to 17 and 64 hundredths times 6. And then we do 6 times that number, 17 and 64 hundredths. And that is equal to 105 and 84 hundredths. So the surface area of this cube is 105 and 84 hundredths. Now let's take a look at A. A is a net. And what do you think it's a net of? It has all the same lengths of all of the sides. So that looks like it could be a cube, the net of a cube. So we can actually apply the same formula. The surface area is equal to 6s squared. So we have the 6 faces, and then the side is 5 feet. So we have 5. We're going to substitute the s with 5. And now we have 6 times 5 squared. 5 squared is 25. And we multiply that by 6. And 6 times 25 is 150. So the surface area is 150 feet squared for A.